Er gilt als einer der profiliertesten Führungsexperten Europas, Manfred Kets de Vries. Der Ökonom und ausgebildete Psychoanalytiker widmete seine Karriere der Verbesserung der Führungskräfteentwicklung. Für seine Verdienste wird der Professor für Leadership Development mit dem Life Achievement Award der Weiterbildungsbranche ausgezeichnet. Managerseminare traf den Niederländer an dem Ort, der seit 30 Jahren seine Wirkungsstätte ist, die Elite Business School INSEAD in Fontainebleau bei Paris.
How did you come to find interest in leadership?
Because we have so many bad leaders. I mean, look around. The world is a mess. And I'm brought up, I was born in the Second World War, and it certainly was a mess. And unfortunately, you think that actually Europe has been doing comparatively quite well. I mean, we had no war in Europe, except of course in the Balkans, but the core of Europe, we had no war, which is a great achievement. People sometimes forget that when they complain about the European community. So I guess all my life, this is a school for leaders. We produce leaders for the world. And I'm trying, the little I can do, to make them, for example, I run a CEO seminar once a year. So I take 21 people. They're probably responsible for 100,000 people or something like that. And if the fantasy, if I can make them a little bit more humane and maybe a little more effective, it will have a positive trickle effect to the rest of the organization. So all my life I've been trying to create better places to work.
Why are you especially interested in the psychological aspects that determine behavior, individual and also organizational?
That's a very good question. Now realize that we are actually strangers to ourselves. We have 11 million impulses a second which are unconscious, and 40 are conscious. So what do you want? You better get some control over your life, and many people make the same mistake over and over again. I think it was not really Einstein, but people say it was Einstein who said, the definition of insanity, to do the same thing over and over again and hope for different results. That's not the way it works. So I cannot really change character. But I can help people when they get into certain situations to do some deep breathing before they go on automatic pilot. I have a friend who always says, I know I fall always in love with narcissistic women, but I don't marry them any longer. That's progress. And that's what I think is, that's what I do here. What I create in this class and the class upstairs, of course also in Singapore, many people have good intentions. But in these classes, you cannot be Teflon, because you cannot escape. It's very hard to stay Teflon in those classes. So I create, in these classes, touches people, and I create tipping points. And also deal with unfinished business they have, which can be in the organization, can be in their relationships with their children, etc., etc. And I had to expedite it to some extent for short programs. These are luxury programs. These are Rolls-Royce programs, long programs. This is here in this class, it's the masters, it's 2 years. The program upstairs is 1 year. So, and people usually, it's like they come to a program, a short program, and after they say, I see the light, hallelujah, and they go back to normal. It's like, I start dieting, I start exercising, the Christmas resolutions. But here are follow-ups. So after you come back, what have you done? Have you really started your diet, to give an example, or have you really become less of a micromanager? I was, I got back in the old routine. So, what is happening here also is the group start to push you, because I'm not there. It's a little bit like with therapy. Therapy, if you have a very intensive psychotherapy, the therapy is there on a regular basis, but it's not the case often. But in this case, it's the group who helps people to start to experiment with different kinds of behavior.
What is for you good leadership?
There is no baby without a mother, and there's no leader without a context. To be the managing partner of McKinsey, it necessitates a very different leadership style than being the director of a steel plant in the Ural Mountains. I have had them all. So it's very much contextually driven. So you need to adapt. I mean, there's certain general things which, people would come to me, journalists would ask me the question about leadership in the digital age. Many of the basic principles of leadership have not changed that much. I said, what Alexander the Great did, or whatever, there's some of the things are very simple, which is how to get the best out of people. How to really get a sense of their inner theater, and said, what can I do to stretch this person? How to thank them for work well done? Very simple things. Of course, you also need some vision and whatever. Direction. As Napoleon used to say always, leaders are merchants of hope, which I think a nice expression. To speak, to create a group identity, to speak to the imagination of their people, to get a group identity, and it's still very true. But then you have to say, okay, I have this group of people around me, and I have a sense of what really I can get the best out of them. And as the expression is in English, different strokes for different folks. Some people need a lot of guidance, a lot of hand-holding. Other people don't like that at all. So you have to make a call there. So good leaders, of course, hope they can adapt to different situations. But you can also say, listen, I'm good in this, and after I've done my thing, it's time to move on. I mean, how long should a leader be in power, for example? I think 5 to 7 years. They probably give their best. But of course, there are, in general, particularly in the Anglo-Saxon countries, the time period has become very short, much shorter, so you do anything meaningful. And sometimes it's very long, and particularly I can see that in family business, because there your identity is so much tied up in the business. But I mean, you can usually give your best. It's like with prime minister or presidential terms in 5 to 7 years. I once asked 200 CEOs in Davos. That was the number they came up with. I agree.